Hi, welcome to the Hobby Forge. My name is Valdemar. Today we're going to be making some industrial pipes that can be used for games like Warhammer 40,000 or Necromunda or other games. The pipes that I'm going to be making today are going to be used as plasma or promethium or some other sort of volatile fluid pipes that in games like Necromunda, I believe there are some rules about pipes that glow when it is a dark game when the lights have been turned off. So I'm gonna be trying to painting some glowing effects on them. Obviously, you can choose not to do something like that when using this video for making pipes of your own. But let's get on with the video and let's quickly go over the materials that we'll be using for this. First of all, we're gonna be using some cardboard tubes like these that I got from a roll of aluminum foil. I'll later show how you can keep both the aluminum foil without throwing that out, so you can just get the pipe. Then we're gonna be using some MDF board for the bases, could be any kind of wood really, and some thin cardboard. This could be from the aluminum foil or a box of Warhammer. Then we're gonna be using some grill sticks for some friction binding. Then we're going to be using some masking tape and some super glue. I'm using Loctite, as you can see here. Just a material list update. I forgot to mention that I'm also using sandpaper and some chipboard for the supports of the pipes. First of all, let's just see how you can get all the aluminum foil off the roll without actually throwing it out, because that would be kind of a waste. It's not a product that's super good for the environment, so and you can use it for other terrain pieces possibly. So what I did, I got a wooden dowel and put some masking tape down. As you can see here, I've suspended the roll of aluminum foil between two bottles with a wooden dowel between them, and I've taped them down to the table, and then I just start rolling like this. I actually got a very short wooden dowel. I can recommend getting a bit longer so you have more to pinch around with your fingers. Anyway, let's draw up some bases. So let's take the MDF board here and then just draw it up with the measurements that fits your purpose. The measurements that I'm using right here is 9 centimeters by 3.4 centimeters. Then you just cut it up, and I'm just taking this hobby knife and then I'm slowly working through the material. When I've tried cutting into this sort of board with a saw, it has gone very messy, but it's possibly because I'm using the wrong saw. But this method works. It can be a bit slow, but it works. Now let's move on to the pipes. And before we start cutting the pipes into the lengths that we are going to be using, we're gonna mask off the pipes with masking tape. And there's a very specific reason that I'm doing this. It's because of these lines right here going sort of diagonally around and down the cardboard rolls. Paint is not gonna cover that up very well, and it's gonna be very clear that these pipes are made of cardboard rather than whatever you try to paint them as. So I'm just taking some masking tape and just taping it down the pipe just like this, and cutting it off, and then I just continue doing that all the way around the pipe until it's completely sealed off. Now we can measure up our pipes. What I'm doing is that I'm taking my ruler and making a lot of small measurements according to the length that I need all the way around the pipe, and then I take a piece of masking tape and let the edge of that tape follow the small dots that I've already placed. Once that's done, you can just cut all the way around. It's better to roll the pipe a bit so you make sure that it doesn't suddenly go super diagonal with your cut. And just keep on going until you're all the way through. Now we're gonna be decorating the pipes a bit, because they're a bit boring to look at like this. So I'm taking some thin cardboard from a piece of from a set of Warhammer, and then I am measuring up a lot of small lines. And as you can see here, they are 9 centimeters by 0.5 centimeters. So after cutting out these long stripes, I'm putting a bit of super glue down, put on one edge of the cardboard, and then just just wrap it around like so, and I'm making sure that the places where the cardboard strips meet each other is the same place in the other end of the pipe. So I can glue that towards the bottom of the pipe, so we won't be able to see them once we're done. I'm placing some more further in on the pipe, as you can see right here. All in all, each pipe segment will be having 6 strips like this, and between them about 0.5 centimeters, as you can see here. Once I've done that, I'm taking some cross-stitch mesh. At first I thought I was just going to like take a small piece of it and like a segment of 3 squares or something like that and make a very small lamp, but I ended up taking just an entire length worth of cross-stitch mesh to wrap in between the cardboard strips that I had already made. Now I am cutting up the supports that the pipes are going to be resting on, and I'm using a compass to get the round shape onto them. And I'm doing this on some thin chipboard. As you can see right here, they are 1.7 centimeters and 2.8 centimeters. So once we've drawn up the supports, I'm just taking my knife, once again cutting them out piece by piece. The most difficult thing here is getting the round shapes right, and the only good way of doing that I know of, without having some very specialized tool for it, is taking the knife and slowly moving it around the shape, and just very, very slowly cut more and more into it until you get it right. And we can just test it right here that it suits nicely with our pipe. Now we can start assembling things. What I'm doing now is I am measuring, I think it's 0.5 centimeters from the edge and into the base, and just drawing a few lines before taking 2 supports, some super glue, and just putting them on top of those lines that I just drew. And there we go. Seems to fit nicely. Now let's make some small intersections. Here I have 2 pieces that are 3.3 centimeters long. What I've done then is that I've drawn a ring around them using the method of drawing around the shape that I showed earlier with masking tape, and the 2 lines are about 0.5 centimeters in. And then while looking from above, I sort of go after cutting between those 2. And the angle isn't quite perfect. I want a 90 degrees angle, obviously, for this corner segment. But when putting the 2 segments together, it's not perfect. And you can use a long time to try and get the perfect straight cut. But I decided that I would rather do it this way and show you how to remedy the mistake rather than just doing 10 cuts until I got it right. Because most likely you will have the same issue as I will. And what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of sandpaper and I'm just slowly working the pieces and testing the fit of them together with each other to see if the angle gets any better. You just compare and see what length is too long, what edge is maybe a bit too short, and just sandpaper on the edge that seems a bit too long. So once you're happy with that, you can just take some super glue and glue those 2 pieces together. Like so. What I'm going to be doing now is a small T intersection. First off, I'll take this small piece that is 1.7 centimeters long, and what I do is I take a piece of pipe and draw in a semicircle on top of the pipe, but don't worry about getting this super round, super straight. It's just to take a bit off to make things a bit easier for us. So, and then I do the exact same thing on the other side. What I do then is I take this clipper and then I just remove the semicircle shape inside it. Again, don't worry about it not being too round, and rather make it a bit too small than a bit too large. Then I have this other piece of pipe I've put on some sandpaper with some duct tape. And then I'll take this small intersection piece and just rub it down the other pipe with sandpaper, and this will slowly work it into the shape we wanted, so it's a nice and tight fit onto another piece of pipe. Then as you can see here, I'm just removing some of the masking tape that didn't get removed by the sandpaper. Then we just glue it onto the 3.3 centimeter long pipe shape that we want it to connect with. If you want to do a cross section rather than a T-section, it's the exact same thing, just one more time on the other side. Now let's make some way that these can connect with the other pipelines that we've made. What I'm doing, I'm taking some grill sticks and making a few short pieces and wiping one end of the grill sticks against some sandpaper to sort of flatten it, but not all the way around. Then I take the newly flattened piece of grill stick and glue it inside the pipes. This is going to serve as sort of friction binders that allows us to have this sort of modular pipe set. Now for the painting. As you can see, I've primed them black with a rattle can, but you could use an airbrush also if you want to. Then I am painting them purple with an airbrush, but you could also use a brush or a sponge if you prefer that. First off, I'm coming in with a purple that I've mixed a bit of black and brown into, and then I'm coming in with a more clean purple on top to sort of give the illusion of a bit of shadow underneath the pipes. I apologize for the slightly disfocused camera recording here. I had a piece of plastic over the lens of my camera because I was afraid some paint vapor might. What I have here is a piece of sponge with some typhus corrosion on it, and then I'm just dabbing over the top of the pipes to make this effect of paint getting worn off by chemicals or water dripping down. Then I have some Rise of Rust that I am dry brushing over the typhus corrosion that I just dabbed on. And you just take some bright orange paint on a brush that you don't care too much about, wipe most of the paint off on a piece of paper, and then the remaining paint you can wipe over the typhus corrosion, and it looks like this when it's done. Then I'm taking some more bright orange paint and I am mixing in quite a lot of water with it. And with this I'm going to go in with a detail brush, and I'm going to paint these long sort of streaks running down the streaks that the sponging of the typhus corrosion sort of made. So I'm just gonna further extend these streaks down the pipe. After doing that, I am sort of doing the same, but this time with a brown wash. I'm using Agrex Earth shade from Citadel. Once again, just further extending the streaks running down, and this is the result once that's done. To finish it off, I am coming in with a piece of sponge with some lead belcher or any sort of darker metal color over the top of them to sort of finish this rusty look. But to further add some contrast to all this, I am coming in with a thinned down pink paint and running again on the edges of the streaks and making them a bit longer. I think it makes a nice look, but you can definitely also do it without. What I forgot to record is that I painted all the bases in lead belcher, so a darker metal color, and then I'm coming in with a sort of bronze or copper color and painting the supports. And both of those I washed, then I painted a few dots of typhus corrosion, and then after I dry brushed it with Rise of Rust. Here I'm starting to airbrush the glowing effect on the lamps that I wanted to make on these pipes. What I'm doing is that I'm coming in with a bright green color, trying to get a distance to get a nice spread over the beyond just the lamps. Then I mix in some yellow into my paint mix, and then I come in a bit closer with my dry brush, and I just keep on doing this, mixing in more and more yellow to get this get a more and more bright effect. I am definitely not an expert on using an airbrush. I have just started using one, but this is the result that I ended up with. I am quite happy with it, really. I think it works nicely with the both with the paint and the design of them. I really hope you enjoyed watching this. Please, if you have any questions about this, leave them down in the comments below. subscribe to the channel and leave a like, and I'll see you next time.